All right, you sick fucks, buckle up. Because today, we're going deep into the life of Asma Al-Assad.
Asma Al-Assad.
You know,
Yeah.
the Desert Rose, who ended up being called the First Lady of Hell.
Yeah, that one.
We've got a shitload of intel here, articles, Wikipedia, the whole 9 yards.
Oh.
So by the time we're done, you'll be spitting Asma facts like a goddamn machine gun.
It's wild, right? I mean, you got this woman born and raised in London, went to a Church of England school.
Church of England school.
And then some posh private school got a degree in computer science from King's College London.
What the fuck?
Not exactly the resume you'd expect for the wife of a brutal dictator.
Seriously, it's like she was on track to be some high-powered CEO, sipping champagne with the Wall Street elite.
Yeah.
But instead, she ends up falling for Bashar al-Assad.
Yeah.
You know,
Bashar al-Assad.
the ophthalmologist
Right.
who inherits the Syrian presidency from his dear old dad. Talk about a career change.
Huge change.
And the wedding totally under the radar.
Under the radar.
What the hell was that all about?
Yeah. Well, the secrecy around their relationship was intentional.
Oh, it was intentional, huh?
They wanted to control the narrative.
Oh, they were being sneaky.
Remember, this was 2000?
Okay.
Bashar was the new kid on the block, and everyone was trying to figure out what he was all about.
Yeah.
Marrying the stylish, Western-educated woman was a way to project an image of modernity, of reform.
So it was all a big PR stunt?
Not necessarily.
Come on.
There's evidence they genuinely had feelings for each other.
Come on, you're buying that bullshit.
But the timing and the way it was orchestrated, come on, they knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
They were playing the media game.
They were playing the game.
Absolutely.
And they played it well for a while.
Yeah.
Asma was hailed as this desert rose.
The Desert Rose.
A symbol of hope for a more open Syria. Vogue even did a glowing profile on her in 2011.
Vogue?
Calling her a rose in the desert. Talk about a major facepalm moment.
Oh, that Vogue article is infamous for a reason.
It is infamous.
It's a perfect example of how the media can be manipulated to create a completely distorted image of reality.
Right.
They painted Syria as this idyllic place.
Oh, come on.
Praising Asma for her fashion sense and her charity work.
Fashion and charity work.
While conveniently glossing over the regime's human rights abuses.
Yeah, like the whole disappearing political opponents thing wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
Fuck that noise.
Exactly.
And when the shit hit the fan in Syria and the civil war erupted, Vogue was left scrambling to distance themselves from the whole mess.
They sure were.
They scrubbed the article from their website, trying to erase all evidence of their complicity in this propaganda campaign.
Oh, yeah, big time.
They tried to memory hole that shit so hard.
Yeah.
It was too late.
Too late.
The internet never forgets.
Never.
But let's get back to Asma. What was she up to during those early days of the uprising?
Yeah.
Was she oblivious to the carnage? Or was she just playing dumb?
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
She went completely silent for almost a year.
A year?
You've got to wonder what was going through her head.
Yeah.
Was she horrified by the violence? Was she trying to convince Bashar to change course?
Right.
Or was she already on board with the regime's brutal crackdown?
Maybe she was just busy shopping for designer shoes. Who knows?
Could be.
But eventually she breaks her silence, makes it clear.
Breaks her silence?
She's standing by her man no matter what.
Yeah, standing by her man.
And that choice came with consequences.
Of course.
The EU slapped her with sanctions, asset freezes, travel bans, the whole shebang.
The whole 9 yards.
But here's the kicker.
What's that?
She could still jet off to London whenever she felt like it because she's a British citizen.
Oh, yeah.
What the actual... How did they let that slide?
It's a legal clusterfuck.
Legal clusterfuck.
Thanks to dual citizenship.
Right.
The UK was in a bind.
A bind?
They wanted to punish the Assad regime, but they couldn't legally bar a British citizen from entering the country.
Okay.
It pissed a lot of people off.
Oh, yeah.
Especially Syrian refugees who had fled to the UK for safety.
Can you imagine being one of those refugees fleeing a war zone, losing everything?
Yeah.
And then seeing the wife of the guy who's responsible for all your misery strutting around London like she owns the place?
Oh.
I'd be fucking livid.
It was a slap in the face.
Totally.
And it wasn't just the public that was outraged. You had the wives of UN ambassadors releasing videos, pleading with Asma to use her influence to push for peace.
Really?
They appealed to her as a mother, as a human being, to do something to stop the bloodshed.
But did she give a shit?
Nope.
She just kept on living her best life.
Absolutely.
Attending fancy events.
Yeah.
And pretending everything was hunky-dory.
Classic.
Yeah, classic Asma.
Totally. She even showed up at a mother's rally in Damascus.
Oh, come on.
Surrounded by a bunch of women who were probably forced to be there.
Forced to be there.
It was a classic propaganda move.
Oh, come on. Give her some credit. Maybe she genuinely wanted to show support for Syrian mothers.
Syrian mother.
You know, the ones who weren't fleeing the country or getting blown to bits?
Let's cut the crap.
Okay.
It was pure optics. She was trying to project this image of strength and unity while the country was literally imploding.
All right. Point taken. But wasn't there also some shady shit going down behind the scenes?
Behind the scenes?
I vaguely remember reading about Asma amassing power.
Yeah.
Using her charity as a front.
That's where things get really juicy. Asma wasn't content with just being the First Lady.
First Lady.
She wanted a taste of the real power.
Real power?
The Syria Trust for Development.
The Syria Trust for Development.
It became her personal playground.
Hold up. Explain this shit to me. How the hell does a charity translate into political power?
Think of it as a shadow government.
A shadow government.
Asma used the charity to build a network of loyalists.
Okay.
To funnel money and to influence policy.
So she was like a puppet master?
Kind of. She was appointing people.
Appointing people.
Setting agendas, even getting her own damn activists elected to parliament.
So basically, she was running a side hustle while Bashar was busy dropping barrel bombs on his own people.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's some next-level power couple goals right there.
And it all blew up in her face.
Oh, it blew up in her face.
Remember Rami Makhlov?
Rami Makhlov?
Bashar's cousin.
Bashar's cousin. The guy who was basically the regime's ATM.
Exactly.
Yeah, the dude who looked like he'd rather be counting his money than attending some bullshit charity gala.
Totally.
What about him?
Well, Asma's power grab pissed him off royally.
Pissed him off.
He accused her of trying to control the Alawite money.
Alawite money.
Basically the funds that were meant to keep the Alawite elite, the backbone of the regime.
The backbone.
Happy and loyal.
Wait, Alawite money? What the fuck? Is that some kind of secret slush fund for religious fanatics?
It's more complicated than that. The Alawites are a religious minority in Syria.
Okay.
And they've historically been marginalized. When Hafez al-Assad Bashar's father came to power,
right,
he stacked the government with Alawites, creating a system of patronage and control.
So it's like a mafia, but with more prayer rugs.
Kind of. Alawite money is a loose term, but it refers to the financial resources that the regime used to maintain its grip on power.
Grip on power.
Think of it as a combination of state funds, private investments, and straight-up corruption.
And Asma wanted a piece of that pie. Damn, this woman's got balls.
She had ambition, that's for sure, but it backfired spectacularly.
Yeah,
Rami went public with his accusations.
Public.
And it exposed the deep divisions within the Assad family. It was a sign that the regime was starting to crack from within.
So while the rebels were trying to take down the regime from the outside, Asma was busy stirring shit up from the inside.
Pretty much.
Talk about a family feud.
It's like a Shakespearean tragedy, but with more bloodshed and designer handbags. And just when you thought things couldn't get any more complicated, the UK police decide to launch a war crimes investigation into Asma.
What? Seriously, those guys were still paying attention.
They accused her of inciting terrorism.
Inciting terrorism?
It was a bold move considering she's a British citizen.
British citizen?
But it also sent a clear message.
What's that?
They were holding her accountable for her role in the Syrian regime's atrocities.
So they were finally admitting that the whole Desert Rose thing was bullshit.
It was a PR nightmare for Asma.
PR nightmare.
It tarnished her image even among her remaining supporters, and it made it even more difficult for her to travel internationally.
But wait, didn't she eventually escape to Russia?
Yeah, that was in 2024.
2024.
It was a dramatic turn of events. Asma, battling leukemia.
Battling leukemia.
Flees to Moscow with her children, leaving Bashar behind.
Hold the phone. Rewind that shit. She had leukemia.
Yep. Diagnosed in 2024.
Diagnosed in 2024.
It adds another layer of intrigue to this whole saga. Was her escape a desperate act of self-preservation?
Self-preservation.
Was she trying to protect her children from the chaos engulfing Syria?
Right.
Or was it something more calculated, a strategic move to position herself for a potential future without Bashar?
Damn, this is some serious shit.
Yeah.
And what about Bashar? Did he give her his blessing to run off to Moscow?
We can only speculate. Remember, the Syrian opposition was gaining ground at this point. And Bashar's grip on power was weakening.
Yeah.
Maybe he knew his days were numbered and he wanted to ensure his family's safety.
Or maybe he was just pissed off that she was taking all the good caviar with her. Who knows?
But here's the kicker. The UK, despite Asma holding British citizenship, declared her unwelcome.
Unwelcome.
They cited sanctions and her alleged role in the Syrian regime's crimes.
So the UK was basically like, fuck you, Asma, you're not coming back here.
It was a major diplomatic snub, and it put Asma in a precarious position.
Precarious position.
She was stuck in Russia, a country with a less than stellar human rights record, facing an uncertain future.
Talk about out of the frying pan into the fire. So what happened next? What you been up to in Moscow?
That's where the trail gets a little murky. There are rumors, whispers, but nothing concrete.
Okay.
Some say she's living a lavish lifestyle surrounded by Russian oligarchs.
Okay.
Others say she's plotting her return to power, trying to rebuild her network of influence.
Maybe she started a new charity. The Syrian Dictators in Exile Foundation.
Syrian Dictators in Exile Foundation.
They could hold bake sales to raise money for their legal defense.
That's a pretty dark joke, even for you.
Hey, kid, gotta find humor in the darkness, right?
I guess so. But seriously, Asma's story is far from over. She's a survivor, a master of reinvention.
A master of reinvention.
And her future, just like her past, is likely to be full of surprises.
All right, you degenerates. Welcome back to the final chapter of our Asma Al-Assad saga.
The final chapter.
We've dragged you through the mud, the blood, the designer handbags.
It's been a wild ride.
And now it's time to wrap this shit up.
Where we left off, Asma was holed up in Moscow.
Moscow.
Unwelcome in the UK.
Oh, yeah.
With the stench of war crimes allegations clinging to her like cheap perfume.
Yeah, right.
So what's the latest? What's she been up to? Spill the tea, as the kids say.
Yeah, let's cut the crap about the kids. They're probably being groomed to be the next generation of Assads.
The next generation.
But seriously, what's going on with her? Is she sipping vodka with Putin, plotting her comeback?
Plotting a comeback?
Or just binge-watching Real Housewives of Moscow?
Probably a bit of all three.
Oh, come on.
Remember, this woman is a master of reinvention.
A master of reinvention.
She went from London banker to dictator's wife.
Yeah.
From Desert Rose to First Lady of Hell.
First Lady of Hell.
Adaptability is her superpower.
So you're saying she's like a cockroach?
A cockroach.
She can survive anything, even a nuclear apocalypse.
Don't underestimate her.
Okay, don't underestimate her.
She's got connection. She's got intelligence.
Connections, intelligence.
And she's got a ruthlessness that would make Machiavelli blush.
Okay, but let's be real. She's also got a giant target on her back.
A target on her back.
The UK wants her head on a platter.
The UK wants her gone.
The Syrian opposition would love to see her in handcuffs.
Oh, absolutely.
And who knows how many other enemies she's made along the way.
A lot of enemies.
True, but that's what makes her story so compelling. She's a walking contradiction.
A walking contradiction.
A modern woman trapped in ancient power structure. A westernized outsider who became the ultimate insider.
Absolutely.
And let's not forget the leukemia that adds a whole other layer of fucked upness to this whole situation.
Absolutely. It's a constant reminder of her mortality, of the fragility of life, even for those at the pinnacle of power.
So what's the end game here? Does she live out her days in exile, a faded shadow of her former glory?
Exile.
Does she face trial for war crimes?
War crimes?
Or does she pull off some crazy power move and end up back in Damascus?
Back in Damascus.
Ruling Syria with an iron fist.
Those are the million-dollar questions, and unfortunately, I don't have a crystal ball.
Okay, so no crystal ball.
Well, here's what we can say for sure.
Okay, shoot.
Asma Al-Assad's story is a cautionary tale about the corrupting nature of power, the seductive allure of ambition, and the devastating consequences of political violence.
It's also a reminder that even the most powerful people in the world are ultimately at the mercy of fate.
Precisely. And in Asma's case, fate has dealt her a pretty shitty hand.
Well, folks, there you have it. The rise and fall of Asma Al-Assad, from London banker to First Lady of Hell and everything in between.
Rise and fall.
We have explored her contradictions, her ambitions, her ruthlessness, and her ultimate downfall.
It's been a wild ride full of twists and turns.
Twists and turns.
And it's a story that's likely to continue for years to come.
And who knows, maybe one day we'll be back here diving deep into the next chapter of her life. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and as always, thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.
It's been a pleasure as always, and to our listeners, remember, be careful who you marry. Power corrupts, and always pack a good pair of running shoes when you're fleeing a war zone. You never know when you might need them.